Hi everyone! I figured before I start with today's video, I would just share the finished swatch cards from the last video and maybe put them away in my swatch binder. So these are all the swatches that I made last time of the 2021 Roman Schmal Aquarius colors. Actually, I said put them in my swatch binder, but they haven't been scanned yet. But I did, let me just unzoom a little. You can see everything. But I did get everything. Also, there's 15 new colors. And I did get, I did do a lifting test on all of them, which I hadn't done in the video because I like to wait until it's completely dry and do that later. So these are all those swatches. I'm just going to go in and check, my chat and sorry, let me just check in here. And I am live, so let's, hi! Ooh, and I have sound. I can hear my own sound. That's great. So everyone can also hear my sound. Hi Paolo, hi Dan, hi Ellen. For anyone who's just come in, these are the swatches that apparently I forgot to, somehow I missed one of these. I'm pretty sure I've not done a lifting test here because it's not showing anything at all. And it should have lifted. Anyway, so I've done a lifting test on all of the swatches that I did in the last week's stream. So these are the new colors that Roman Schmal introduced in 2021. I got them sent to me by a local art supply store. That's it's Wartsman's Art Supplies, and they're the exclusive North American distributor for Roman Schmal. In the past, I've gotten paints directly from manufacturer, but this time they sent them through the distributor. So these are some lovely paints. I'm really excited about this Blue Ridge Raw Sienna is a really nice raw sienna. I really quite like that. Ginger Red's a really interesting color. I'm not sure exactly what I'd use it for, but it is really unique. The Quinacridone Scarlet is really cool and fairly rare pigment. It's not listed, but it's a known thing. Winsor Newton also has the same one. This is a really nice ultramarine. I also really like the M. Graham ultramarine. This is pretty similar to that, I'd say. And then Quinaphthalone Yellow is a really good, like, neutral middle yellow. If you're doing like a primary triad, that might be my choice. It's quite transparent for a yellow and isn't too warm or too cool. Works quite well. Yeah, lots of great colors here. I'm going to put these away now. I'm gonna scan them and then enter all this information into my pigment spreadsheet. But today I want to do something a little bit different. So I am now working on my my passion project, which I've applied for grants for. So I'm working on a project called On the Skin of Giants, which is an exhibition project. So I'm painting a number of paintings for exhibition of tree bark as an ecosystem. So all the lichen and mosses and insects and other animals that call tree bark home. I find tree bark is super duper fascinating and very, like, there's all kinds of life on it that we tend to just glaze right by. And one thing that I've really enjoyed is working in ink and watercolor. Sorry, I'm gonna try to find some examples. So this one behind me was actually one of the pieces that inspired this project. It's actually done in ink and colored pencil, but you can see that there are black lines. There's black line work that gives it like a fairly graphic look, and I think that really works well for bringing out some of the texture and detail in these fairly abstract looking forms. And I really liked that, but you know, I couldn't leave well enough alone and just work in black line work. I find that gets a little too, it's a little much sometimes. Sorry, just putting this away. Oh. Or I'm not, since it doesn't want to fit in here. And I'll deal with it later. So I have started experimenting with working in other colors of ink. So this has orange, an orangey ink, and a brown ink. And that is pretty fun. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I've been thinking about it for years, and I finally just decided to go for it. So I've applied to grants, which hopefully will come through, because it would be nice to have funding, you know, for the next 2.5 years where I'm working on this. But I'm just carrying on as though the grants are all going to come through, and yeah. Hi Lana, it's so nice to see you. I would really love to chat with you sometime. Anyway, so I've inked some fountain pens. I got my hands on the extra fine platinum preppies. So I think I had this discussion in a previous live stream, but I do have a growing ink collection and some fountain pens, but I am really basic about my fountain pens. Like, I don't have any particularly fancy fountain pens. In fact, my fanciest fountain pen, I did have a Namiki Falcon, and I just sent it to another artist because I didn't feel like I was getting the enjoyment out of it that a pen that price deserves. So I I like being able to re-ink things. I find that microns, fine liners, and the like just dry out way too quickly, and I end up throwing out so many pens if I use those for inking. I also have been playing with different colors of ink, so I wanted to have multiple pens, but I am not very precious about my supplies. I carry things around. I am prone to losing things, very prone to losing things. So, you know, the idea of carrying around a $100, $200 pen is really not for me. So yeah, so these are platinum preppies. They are a few bucks a piece. The converter inside actually costs more than the pen itself. And then I've got a number of fairly light, fast inks, although unfortunately these two haven't been tested as far as I can tell. I might have to do some testing, although the last time I tried to do some light fastness testing, I damaged my sample. That was no good. But these are both by Kakimori. This is one of their earlier collections, and this one helpfully is called Lichen. And then I really like these bottles. And this one is called Torori. And yeah, and it comes in this neat little bottle. These are pigment inks, and they are made in partnership with Turner, who make watercolors, and so apparently the pigments inside should be fairly light fast, but they don't disclose what's in them, so that's a little upsetting. I will be so happy if I get a chance to buy a catalog from the exhibition. Yes, I'm really looking forward to putting out a catalog, like a little accompanying book with some information about all the species, and hopefully I can get a grant for that as well. I'm hoping to do that bilingual French-English, and then get a bilingual grant for it, a francophone grant from the government of Ontario, so yeah. How did you damage the sample? I put it upstairs in my attic, so I had it behind plastic, and I put it upstairs in my attic for the second part of the sample. I have big south-facing windows, but a big tree in front of my house. So through the winter, I had them hanging in my studio window. And then when the tree filled out, I moved them up into the attic. But there's just a lot of temperature fluctuation there because it's not insulated at all. And so I got some water condensation inside, like behind the plastic where I was holding it, so colors ran and just like it was not reliable anymore. So I did get 6 months, like I did get a 6-month sample. Unfortunately, I didn't scan it at that point, which means that I'm not, it's kind of a, like, it's a crappy thing that I can't really share. I mean, I did show them at that point. I pulled them down and did a live stream where I shared those things, where I shared the results at 6 months. So I do have a 6-month sample, but I wanted to have it up for a full year and then scan everything, and it would not be worth scanning. In fact, I would say that like the majority of those results are just invalid, because if you have water running and condensing and molding, like you know, there was all sorts of other stuff going on in that package. Yeah, so this ink, it's a muted orange. So I've tried to match my pen colors a little bit to what's inside. But yeah, so it comes out this, sorry, let me push this over. This comes out this fairly muted, like it's a light orangey tone, orangey, yellowy, like almost like a quinacridone gold or like an ochre. Yeah, like probably if I was to describe this in watercolor pigments, I'd say this is your quinacridone gold. What do you mean my expensive tin of watercolor paints are saved for my best projects? Yeah, I mean, I'm almost the opposite in some ways. Like I understand that feeling, but I'm not precious about my stuff. So it's not that I don't use my most expensive supplies, it's that I don't want to have expensive supplies that I have to be careful about. So I do have expensive watercolors. I'm not precious about those either. Like I just use all of my watercolors. I get you know, all of my paints, or not all of my paints, but the majority of my paints are artist grade. That's what I use in my studio palettes, in my travel palettes, in my everything. I don't worry about that. I do have, you know, cute little tins and whatever that I am at risk of losing at some point. So far, I've managed to avoid losing any watercolor tins, which is quite nice. The only time I've had them vanish is when I'm teaching classes. I tend to lend out watercolor sets. And so I've had a few watercolor sets walk off, although they do eventually come back to me. It's usually somebody else just packs it in with their stuff. But I haven't actually lost watercolor tins, knock on wood. In the studio, I have no problem using, you know, whatever is available. Brushes wise, I mean, again, my studio brushes are nice, but they tend to be small, so they're not, you know, individually, they're not very, very expensive. Because I'm only using, like, the size that I use most frequently is a size 3. So even though I have Kolinsky Sable brushes, they're not, you know, it's not absurd if you're only getting the smaller sizes. For larger sizes, I will just get cheaper brushes. How am I getting on with my camera? Camera's great. I had some issues the last couple weeks because I was fiddling with settings, and so my sound was a bit off. And now I have to double check because I've been set to record in 4K. And have been recording a bunch of my stuff in 4K, but Ev is going to be editing some of my videos, and she will be editing in 1080p. So I need to make sure that everything is scaled properly. It should be fine. When I stream, I'm not streaming in 4K either. I don't have the internet connection and can't easily get it. Like, we could pay an upgrade to our internet service, but it's unclear that our upload would actually support 4K anyway. But you should be getting 1080p now. Actually, that's worth checking, that 1080p is actually showing up properly. For all of you guys, because we should have more than enough bandwidth for that. What camera do you have? Oh, okay. So I have the same camera I've had for a while, but I've just changed how I'm doing my live streams. So I have a Panasonic Lumix G7, which is what I've recorded edited studio video with for as long as I've had my channel. But previously I was using my phone to stream, and it killed my previous phone. So I had a, Samsung Note 9. 1080 is received. Perfect. I had a Samsung Note 9, and I killed the battery by streaming on it weekly for a couple years. It was too much for that phone to handle that amount of battery abuse. So I got a new phone. I have an S22 Ultra, which is wonderful and has a wonderful camera on it, and I do look forward to using that for some... In fact, I have used it for one stream, and I will use it for some out on location stuff, if I don't have an action cam with me or something. You know, cell phone cameras are great, but my primary camera over my desk now, we've hooked up the Lumix G7 through an Elgato, what's it called? The capture card. Yeah. So I have a capture card attaching my camera to my computer, so I'm streaming through my computer and OBS. It has the neat side effect that I actually no longer need to use card storage at all. Like, my card is not even in my camera right now. Everything goes straight to my computer. I can stream and save that footage to use as later edited video. Sorry, let me turn on some lights. I'm realizing that I have quite a dark studio in here. Ta-da! 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 Yeah, there we go. And I'm very sorry about the state of my nails. I realize how gross that is. It's just gardening. Yeah. So this is, yeah. It's interesting. It's showing up as a different color. I should do some color adjustment. Yeah. So it's nice because I can, like, this is now how I record my video as well. My camera can just sit on this tripod now. I've got a camera arm. And I should probably upgrade the camera arm and possibly attach it somewhere other than my desk, because although the desk is fairly solid, this isn't the most pleasant thing. But the camera can just sit here. It's got all its wires that come straight down. It goes straight to my computer, and I can just save my footage or stream it, or and I don't have to touch it at all. It just goes straight to the computer, which is wonderful. So I'm really happy with that. I need to wipe this off again. I don't know what I've done to these feeds, but it's not pretty. So this is to Torori. And there's a collection here, but this is Kakimori is the brand. And then the other color that I'm experimenting with right now, I have a few things to experiment with. What have I done? It's like I've just completely messed up the cap in here. I took it to the studio a couple days ago and wanted to load these before I went. So I did, but then, yeah. So then this is like a muted, fairly deep green. And so I'm hoping that these will add just enough contrast. And this is also by Kakimori. So yeah, so unfortunately I don't have any tests for light fastness other than the manufacturer saying that they should be relatively light fast. Might be worth testing that before I put stuff in an exhibit. But I'm going to pull up some Lichen images and try to experiment with different color combinations. So I mean, damn, I have the regular black preppy ink in here, because I figured I might as well use up the cartridge, but I'm actually not sure. That was silly. I'm not sure if it is water resistant at all, and I'm guessing not. No, it's not. This is just regular wishy-washy ink. On the other hand, I do have this, which is a Signo gel ink, which I think should not go, well, maybe a little. Okay. So I can use that as my black comparison. Okay, yeah, so I have a are you, sorry, let me just make sure that this is all as sharp as I can make it. There. Should be pretty close. Okay. And then I will go check, yeah. Sorry about my gross nails. Man, I notice them so much on video. It's gardening. It's planting season. No, I don't want to exit that. I just want to make it small. And then I want to go to here and open that up. And so basically what I want to do today is just compare a few different approaches for outlining different colors and see how that shows up on my work. Man, I'm having trouble seeing the detail there. Okay, one moment. Maybe if I use this. And if I need that, and go look at live chat. So I'm gonna switch this up. I'm going to be viewing my chat on my main screen across the room. And I'm gonna look at my reference up close on my phone over here. And unfortunately, like looking closer at these pictures, I really don't have the best detail because I got these on a walk with Ember and it was getting kind of late, so my light really wasn't great. But it's just this tree with this really cool scaly bark and some really bright yellow lichen on it. It's really near my house, so I do mean to go back and get more pictures, but I just thought that this would be a useful test case, and it absolutely will be. I just need to figure out how I'm handling this. So if I do this all in orange, Rory, I just want to see sort of what different colors of ink do for how this looks. So the other neat thing about using ink is I've found that it makes for a really easy way to create some atmospheric depth, because I will ink line my main subject, but if I've got sections that come out forward from that or back, those won't get ink lined because they're out of focus. And so it just creates an automatic, like really easy way to create some atmospheric depth without too much effort or thought. I should probably Sorry. Okay, I need to go mute some things and I'll be right back. Back to here. Hide this over there. This in here. And, am I missing some messages? Is that a thing? It might be. Okay. Sorry. And I think what have I done? Right, okay, here I am. Back to my own stream. Uh-oh. Yes, hello? And where is my... Oh. No, not top chat. I want live chat. Live chat. Anyway, what is everyone else up to? Don't think we have our southern hemisphere people here unless somebody's being quiet. So it's spring for everyone. And probably most of you have a bit more of a jump on spring than I do. Hi, Stephen. Anyone doing any planting, gardening? Just me? And then here we have this, and this comes up like this. I'm gonna start painting right in here because I find it helps me place my lines. I will now pack some art supplies for my journey tomorrow. Where are you going, Lena? I feel like I've missed something big. Am I coming tomorrow? Are you asking Lana or me? I don't think I'm going anywhere tomorrow, but I was going to check in with you all, family. About later plans, about, because Birdie is going to be at Mom and Dad's for a week, right? Was that the notion? And I would like to see my nephew, so I might be coming over sometime next week. We're going to Birdie's tomorrow. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to Birdie's tomorrow. I'm not doing the birthday party thing. I have stuff going on. Yeah, I haven't really done any traveling since the pandemic. I mean, I've visited family a few times. Not that they live particularly far away, but my brother asking about that. Oh, sorry, I'm completely off screen, aren't I? Here we go. Trying to figure out how best to show you all the parts. Maybe if I put my... Nope, that still puts me off screen. Sorry, you're not getting both my palette and my painting, but I'll give you the painting. Oh, wait. Where did my chat go? There's my chat. Still enjoying the sketchbook? Yes. I always enjoy sketchbooks. Okay, very carefully not dipping into my coffee. And up in here. Okay, and then paint water, not paint water. Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to juggle. So I have my coffee that is in a helpfully shaped studio mug that's somewhat narrower at the top. And I'd mostly solved this issue by using, in fact, I should just switch back. I had a very wide-mouthed jar that I was using for paint water. That was very difficult to confuse with a very differently dimensioned cup, but then my cat decided that the paint water jar was just the absolute best drinking jar, and I really wasn't comfortable with that. So I switched. I washed it out. I gave him the jar, and then promptly he started drinking out of the jar that I replaced it with that has a smaller opening, and ignored the one that I gave him. So I think I can safely take it back now, but that was a bit frustrating. Huh. Cats are so naughty. Yeah, yeah. And recently, my cat's been showing just, like, what a brat he is. Hi, Mom. He's definitely gotten over his fear of the dog and just manipulates her now. So he wakes up in the morning, he wakes up the dog, and then runs around until she chases him. Then she realizes she needs to go outside, so then I have to get up, so then he gets fed. So he wakes her up in order to get food, and I have to check the time to make sure that he's not doing that too early. He just taunts her. He just taunts her constantly, and then she gets frustrated and barks at him and gets in trouble. Sorry, let me just look at this. Okay. No problem. Welcome back, Lana. Lid on his back, lads. It's in the air. Getting a belly rub. Dante's a bit nervous because of packing, but he comes with us. Neuron, the last time we went for a trip, he wasn't coming with us, but he could tell that we were packing. And so he packed himself and his toys, which was really cute. Like we had a suitcase open, and actually that time we weren't even going anywhere. I was just packing artwork for an exhibition, and so I had an open suitcase and was loading stuff into it, and Neuron picked up his toy, brought it to the suitcase, and sat down in the suitcase and shoved his little chew toy into the suitcase with him. Yeah, Ember gives me sass about taking too long to get ready. Like, just for walks and stuff. Like, come on. Really? You're gonna put on another piece of clothing? Are we done yet? Seriously, I've been ready for ages. Oh, people. Silly humans. So that is about where that photo ends. So I'm just going to leave that there. And try to get a little bit more this in here. Also, it turns out Ember's trained the whole neighborhood. Like, I've just been realizing the extent of it. So, Ember prefers to live outside. And we struggled with this for a while. And eventually, we let her have her way. So, you know, she sleeps inside at night. And sometimes for naps. When she comes to the studio with me, she stays with me inside. But at home, she can go out throughout the day whenever she wants. So she just asks to go outside, and she stays outside for hours on end. So far, so good. She likes, you know, sniffing the air and digging holes and socializing with the neighbors. But she's trained the whole neighborhood. Every time she goes outside, she wants to carry one of her toys outside. So she's collected just balls. She's got just like at least 6 of the things outside. And she'll line them up by the edge of the retaining wall. And whenever somebody walks by, she'll, drop a ball onto the sidewalk to make people go fetch for her. And she'll just do this over and over again, and people fall for it. There's neighbors 3 doors down who, they go for walks, like 3 times a day. So they have their set walk route, and they walk right by. And so I was watching Ember interact with the neighbor, and Ember drops a ball, and the neighbor gives it back to her, and Ember drops a ball, and the neighbor says, okay, no, you have to wait for us to come back. This isn't funny. And Ember just, like, grins at her, like, I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that you're going to go fetch that ball across the street from me, and I'm going to do it again. So, of course, she does it again. She's got all of these different interactions with different neighbors. She knows, you know, there's neighbors who come by. There's a neighbor who doesn't have dogs who goes for a walk every day with dog treats in his pocket, even though he doesn't own dogs, just to give Ember dog treats. She's trained the neighborhood. There's a toddler 2 doors down whose bedtime routine now includes he needs to go say goodnight to the puppy. So when Ember was out with me at the studio, he was really sad because he didn't get to say goodnight to the puppy. And he's got a little stuffed dog that he brings too, that is his little home puppy. Oh man. She's got the whole neighborhood wrapped around her little goofy little ears. We have a man like that too, but Dante doesn't want treats from him. He's afraid. So I'm pretty sure that with Ember, it actually has very little to do with the treats, so much as, like, Ember constantly seeks approval and attention, so she doesn't, like, she'll refuse treats from me. Also, so I asked the man to not give him treats. Also, Dante has allergies and I don't know what the treats are, so the neighbor complained to my partner and said I was a bad and mean owner. So this neighbor, I do know what the treats are, and I don't have a problem with it. There's another neighbor who, without ever asking me, started, like, giving Ember treats just out of the blue. Yeah, like, just without ever asking me, like, just, like, walks up. Like, I can't stand that when people come up and just, like, hand things to my dog, because, yeah, like, Ember doesn't. Ember has a crazy digestive system and, like, can apparently just eat anything. But you never know. Like, you Right, like people should ask before giving treats, and especially because Ember's training as a service dog too. Like, my rule with her is actually when she's not in a vest, she can take anything. I do ask that people, like, make her work for it, like, make her sit, make her do something. And, like, that she has to still, you know, be polite, no pulling, no jumping, no whatever. But as long as she's polite and they, you know, make her do something, she can have whatever. But yeah, like it bothers me when people don't ask. And especially because when she's in a service vest, it's not only treats, like she's not even supposed to get pets. She's not supposed to interact with other people when she's in her vest. Now she's just a puppy, but it's just because she's so friendly that, I mean, okay, so there are different reasons. Like, I don't have any plans to use her for alerts, so she doesn't need to be completely focused on me when she's at work. But some people do, right? So if you have a dog who's a cardiac alert dog, like they need to be focusing on their handler, not like going off and asking for treats. And so as a general rule, it's like, don't distract service dogs. But different people have different needs. With Ember, I mean, the biggest thing is just, I know that she wants nothing more. Like, usually we go for walks and she just wants to, like, sit and greet everybody. Like, she wants to talk, she wants to stop for every dog, every person, especially, like, children. Like, you and then she wants to sniff around and she's curious and whatever. So if we start making exceptions like, oh, well, yeah, you can accept treats, or yeah, well, if somebody asks to pet you, then they can pet you, like, she's gonna start pulling for that when she sees, oh, yeah, I can get pets, right? So it's important for Ember to know when she's in her vest she can't interact with people, and she does, but it bothers me because some people will just come right up and start interacting with the dog, even if she's got a vest on that says, do not distract. And, you know, I have a good dog who tends to, when she's in her vest, she'll just look at me like, is this okay? But like, yeah, it just bothers me the few times, like, fortunately, it's never happened when she's in a vest. She's only ever gotten unsolicited pets when she's in a vest. But, like, I have just, been walking with her, and then some stranger comes up with treats and like, oh, hi, puppy, would you like some treats? And hands my dog treats. I'm like, please don't do that. Like, that should be obvious, but I don't know. In general, as long as people ask and she's not in a vest, I'm happy for Ember to get whatever. It cracks me up a little that she hangs out and she knows the entire neighborhood. And it has just, she's got everyone doing her whims. Like, you've got neighbors walking around who don't have dogs, who are carrying treats on their daily walk. Because Ember. Because Ember has fluffy ears and sits down. She's hilarious. She doesn't understand that she's a big dog now either. So, like, she was never much of a lap dog when she was tiny because she'd overheat too much. She never liked snuggles. But now she's decided that she loves snuggles. Snuggles are the best. And she's totally going to climb up on people's laps. So, she's decided she's a lap dog, but she's like 60 pounds. She's like huge. And massively fluffy. And she wants to be friends with everything and everyone. And has no concept that, like, she scares. It's not just people. Like, she doesn't understand that some people are scared of her. She thinks, like, everyone must love her. Everyone must love me because I have the biggest, floofiest ears. And if I just, like, run at them, they're going to be delighted. Which is often the case, but not always. And then she also just doesn't understand, like, smaller dogs are scared of her sometimes. And so she'll greet very nicely, like she'll lie down and wait for them to come to her and be really polite, but then some dogs will just, like, bark and run away or, like, you know, hide. And she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand, like, why doesn't the other dog want to be my best friend? I want to be best friends. And she extends this, like, it's beyond ridiculous because she sees bunnies and she sits down to greet bunnies. And it's like, you're not going to be friends with the bunnies and the squirrels. They're not, they're not going to be your best bud. And she's just, like, sitting there like, come on, friend. Little kids, she loves toddlers. And the thing is, most toddlers love her back, but a few do get scared. And so we always have to be careful. And she's like, but why doesn't the baby want to say hi to me? Amber, you're big. You look like a wolf. Poor Bobby. Poor little buddy. Just doesn't understand that she's so big. I'm gonna push that down a little. That seems like it's too high up there. Bit stretched out. Yeah, can get that there. I tried to befriend birds when I was about 5 or so. Aww. Aww. Yeah, I'm not sure. So the local high school has chickens. And I'm not sure. I saw Ember interacting with them, and I am not entirely sure with birds, especially like ducks. I'm pretty sure she thinks are friends. I'm not 100% positive, but like the way she interacts with ducks and geese, I'm pretty sure she wants to be friends. The way she was looking at those chickens, though, I was less convinced. Like, I thought she might actually be trying to hunt them or trying to chase them in any case. And not just like, oh, let's play. Like, I think she actually seemed to think that they might be, you know, a toy to bite. So I'm not sure about birds, especially smaller birds. Sometimes I think that with smaller birds, she's actually hunting them. She definitely hunts leaves. But certainly bunnies, it's very, very clear that she thinks that's a friend. Cats, she's obsessed with cats. She thinks they're friends. Other, like, smaller wildlife, so she'll see, like, foxes and raccoons she thinks are friends. Skunks. We're trying to keep her away from the skunks. I suspect that that's just a matter of time before she gets skunked, but yeah, like, and even squirrels, I'm pretty sure. This morning we had a squirrel out in the garden and Ember was just staring like, oh, friend, hi, friend. And then I opened up the door and she like tried to like walk over, like tried to like do her little sniffing thing. Yeah, well, I mean, so keep in mind we have a cat at home, right? And she thinks that the cat is the coolest thing ever and that she wants to be just like him when she grows up. Like, she follows our cat around, like, just big, adoring eyes, just, oh my goodness, you're the coolest thing ever, and he just smacks her. That's their interaction. And then she'll be lying down and he'll come and snuggle up and you can just see her, she vibrates. You see her little, like, the little ears go and they start vibrating. And she'll look away like, oh, yeah, no, I'm acting totally normal. I'm not, like, not even looking at this cat. You see the little ears wiggle. And eventually she turns around, you see, like, little shy little tongue come out, like maybe one little lick, one little kiss. She loves cats. All cats. Our cat especially, but the neighbor has cats. She's obsessed with cats. She seems to understand that they are somewhat different from dogs. Slightly. But cats, small dogs, rabbits, squirrels. She thinks all of these things are friends. She does seem to be starting to understand that, you know, different sizes of dogs are likely to want different kinds of play. So she is very polite with smaller dogs or older dogs and doesn't jump on them the same way that she does with younger dogs, which is a huge relief. Because she definitely went through a phase when she was... She grew really fast. She went from like tiny little puppy to... she went into heat when she was not even 5 months old, so from like 3 to 5 months, she just had this crazy growth spurt. And so there was this period where it was like dogs that she'd played with, you know, a week before and had been jumping on, like, that's not okay anymore. You're twice their size. You're gonna hurt someone. And that was tough, but she seems to be understanding that she seems to let other dogs take the lead on how she plays with them. So there's definitely, it's cute to watch because she has different friends, different puppy friends who she plays with differently. So in some cases it's more of a chase game. Some dogs wrestle more. With some of the older and smaller puppies, she just sniffs and, you know, jumps around them a little bit. But yeah, she loves all dogs. And all people. She's very friendly until another dog comes. Like, she's obsessed with people until there's another dog around. Then you know, nothing compares to another dog. That's just the most exciting thing that exists. My silly baby. My silly baby. It's not exactly as much as I'm going to put in that, quite that much. There we go. Go. Thanks, Lee. Bye. Bye, Stephen. Have a nice evening. What time is that? How are we doing? 5:06. Okay. I've still got some more streaming in me, I think. I'll stay on for a bit longer. How to unlock my phone? Oh, this? Yeah, what it is the letter L in Korean. It's just the first letter of my name. I just need to steal it? My unlock screen? Yeah. Okay. I mean, you could probably see it just from, well, maybe it's not super obvious, but when the screen's off, you can probably just see, like, the fingerprint smears, because I'm disgusting. Mine is just L. Yeah, well, I was trying to be a little bit more creative than that. Buying tickets to Canada. I mean, like, I approve of this plan. You should definitely buy tickets to Canada. Although I will tell you, I would be happy to have you over and host you, and we will have a lovely guest room for you. But right now, our guest room is kind of a disaster because, well, our basement flooded, and we haven't gotten the insurance back. Yeah. Speaking of which, anyone got leads on good lawyers? So annoyed. I'm so annoyed. So annoyed. So annoyed. It has been nearly 6 months since our main drain collapsed. Okay, then I'll postpone the stealing plan if there's no guest room for me. Okay, may I recommend, hi Jacqueline, how are you? May I recommend you come for my lawyers? What happened? Oh, okay. So in November. In November, we live in a 100-year-old house, and so we have 100-year-old drains, and the cast iron drain and basically the drain out of our house, so from our stack, from our toilets, all the way out to the front of the house, and then out to the city, all just sort of collapsed. So we had to replace the whole thing. And unfortunately it collapsed, and so we had the first thing we noticed was a geyser of poo out of our basement shower, which was disgusting, but not the problem. Like, poo geyser, disgusting, but it's a tiled shower, you can clean it. The problem is because the drain had collapsed, we had sewage coming up through the basement slab, so through the concrete in the basement, and so we had to have, like, all of the basement finishes, so the carpet had to be ripped up, we had to have plumbers in who tore out, like, tunneled, dug up our main drain and replaced it, so cut through tile. There was some damaged wall cladding. I mean, to be honest, that was really minor, but they, because the water did touch some areas, they had to cut away. We had wood paneling in the basement, so they had to cut away some of the wood paneling. So basically we had a finished basement, and then now we don't. And all the things that were in the basement had to move elsewhere in the house. So now instead of a living room, we have a workshop. Instead of a dining room, we have a storage room. And we are working on renovating everything, but we'd postponed that for some time, both due to weather, like, because we're going to be doing some spray foam insulation in parts of the house. We couldn't really do that when it was in the middle of the winter, but also we were waiting for insurance to come through, and the insurance company owes us something like, going on $40,000. Including $22,000 for plumbing. For plumbers, like we had to call emergency plumbers, and we paid out of pocket for that. So that's $22,000 that we spent of our money that's supposed to be refunded by insurance that has yet to materialize. They also owe $17,000 to the remediation crew who tore out all the carpet and stuff. And additionally, then there's the repairs that haven't been done. So, I mean, the lucky thing is we are the right mix of responsible and irresponsible, where we have savings, but they're not tied up in difficult to access accounts, right? So we have liquid savings and like savings accounts. So we were able to, we paid our plumbers on credit cards and then paid it right off. But like, can you imagine if we'd just been out that money on credit cards? The amount of interest that would be accruing over the course of 6 months. And it's not a problem with the claim. It's just a problem with the insurance company, like the bank just firing people and then hiring new people, and the new people are really dense and don't understand things. So they keep on talking about, we have this, we need to evaluate whether you are eligible to charge this estimate to these contractors who you've called to do an estimate. Like, no, that's not an estimate. That's an invoice for emergency work that was done after our basement flooded, and you need to pay them. You need to pay them because it's been 6 months since they did the work, so you need to pay them. Okay, well, we have these estimates from your plumbers. They're not estimates. Those are paid invoices that we paid. Look. This insurance is part of the same bank account. You can see the credit card and the payment. Oh, no, we need a receipt. Like, it's absurd, and it's just been going on and on and on and on, dragging on forever. It seems like it's been pretty clear from the start that we are eligible to have everything paid back, including some stuff that, frankly, like, at the beginning of all this, we didn't expect to get. Where the remediation crew, they cleaned up our basement and they set some stuff aside that they said, okay, well, this is all ruined. Furniture, like wood furniture that had touched the slab, for example. Anything that could potentially be, contaminated. We weren't really, nothing there was terribly individually valuable, fortunately, in the damaged areas, so we weren't particularly concerned about that. But it does add up to, thousands of dollars on, this and that, that we weren't expecting to get back. And at this point, it's like, no, we want every penny. And we want you to pay for the lawyer that we're going to have to hire to get this out of you. Yeah. So that's frustrating. That's frustrating. Super duper duper frustrating. And at this point, we are going ahead with the renovation, but it's just yeah. Real nightmare. So, yeah, so on Monday I spent, over an hour on the phone chasing down the bank, trying to get someone other than our, insurance adjuster, our latest insurance adjuster, who has been non-responsive the last little while. And threatening legal action, and finally he called, so that the insurance adjuster, after I spoke to his, I don't know, his coworker, his someone, called back, and okay, can you give me until Friday? And Jordan said, I'll see what I can do. Now the truth is, we were both kind of burned out from that and haven't tracked down a lawyer yet. Although I really don't feel like we owed him any kind of waiting after, again, nearly 6 months. It was in early November. Thank you. But, yeah, we haven't chased down, and my sound was off for a very long time. I thought you were just being very quiet. No, I'm not being quiet. I'm complaining about insurance. Sure would be nice to get some insurance payout. Mom, do you have a lawyer? Like a property lawyer? I think we actually do have I think our neighbor is getting us a lawyer, so that's like her father's a lawyer, so yeah. So our neighbor said he can help, or they can help, and so we might have sorted out the lawyer situation, but also it's Friday, and we were supposed to wait until, can you give us until Friday? Okay, well, here it is, it's Friday. I haven't gotten a call back. I don't think we've heard anything from these clowns, so had to get a lawyer after the car accident too, so the insurance of the other person who caused it paid. Right. Yeah. So it seems like, honestly, it seems to be kind of split, even for the same insurance company. Like, our insurance is the same as, like, it's like a very common insurance here. So a lot of people have the same insurance provider. Our neighbors, our other neighbors, our, you know, my studio mates, like, a lot of people use the same insurance provider, and some people have had claims on them for, like, car insurance or small house issues and haven't had any issues, and other people have these nightmares. And so, like, I don't know how to predict this, to be honest. Like, once we sort this out, we are going to be changing our insurance provider, our bank, our everything. Oh, there was another thing on top of the frustration of the insurance not paying out, which is when I called them and went through the process of getting them to, like, trying to get a hold of someone other than my regular advisor, just like, okay, you know, here's the last chance, figure this out, or we're gonna go, or we're seeking legal action. was, at one point, I was on the phone with an agent who was, so he confirms my address, and he confirms an address that we have not lived in since 2016. Which apparently we still had an active policy on, and we need to go back and check our records from 2016, because there is a chance, I guess, that we just simply never properly canceled. Like, it was supposed to switch over. So when we got the house insured, there was a 3-month period where we had both. We had both the apartment and the house. And so when we called to set up the house insurance policy, there was also an end date for the apartment insurance. And somehow in the intervening 6 years, at no point did we A, realize that we were paying 2 insurance policies, or B, honestly, that seems kind of unlikely because we do go through our statements with some regularity. So the other option is that somehow it stopped and then restarted. And if that's the case, then they furthermore, like, realistically, we've been paying insurance for a property that we haven't lived in and, you know, had no claim on for 6 years. And we've been in touch with them several times, and somehow this never came up. So I finally canceled that while on the phone with them for this claim where they were like, oh, okay, so we've got your insurance policy for this other property. And I was like, that is not correct. We have an insurance policy, like, I'm holding my insurance policy for this house, registered to this house, sent to this house. What are you talking about? We haven't lived at that address for 6 years. Oh, okay, yes, I have both of them. We will cancel that. Anyway, point is, over the course of 6 years, we've paid, close to $6,000 on that. Well, I mean, so that's also a problem where they have outsourced some of their work. But, like, even when you get to the insurance adjuster, who, yes, is outsourced, but is still, you know, that's who's supposed to decide. That's who's supposed to, yeah. Anyway, we need to look into that, because either way it was supposed to be canceled. But if it was just a verbal agreement and they've been charging us continuously, then I don't know how much recourse we realistically have. Of course we sent a change of address. Of course we have an insurance policy on this house that we registered when we purchased the house, and it's sent to this house. Everything at the bank is sent to this house. But there was a 3-month overlap, so we kept the insurance when we set up this insurance policy, rather than saying, can you switch it right away? Rather than saying, can you switch it right away, we asked them to hold for 3 months. So we need to go back 6 years in our banking to go see whether there was a pause. Because if there was a pause, then it's 1,000% on them. Like, if they ever canceled it and then reinstated it somehow, which honestly seems almost more likely than we've somehow been, like, we're not religious about it, but we do go through our bank statements fairly regularly. So if they stopped and then restarted, somehow reinstated our policy for a property that we don't live at some point, then they owe us all of the money for that. But frankly, even if they didn't, the fact that they started sending everything to our new house, sent us an active policy, then we've had to renew it 3 times since too, because at one point when we bought the house, we had a temporary plan because we needed to replace some of the plumbing and electrical. So we updated at that point. Then they called back and changed our policy a second time because when we renewed the mortgage, and now because we've filed a claim on it, there's another policy renewal. So yeah, so there's been 3 policy renewals in that space, and somehow in all of the various times that we've been in touch with them over the course of 6 years, it has never come up until Monday when I called them that, oh yeah, also we have this other policy for this property that we have not lived in for 6 years that we've supposedly been paying for. And in fact, when we did open the most recent bank statements, because Jordan was like, we're not paying for that, we opened the most recent bank statements and we are. So there's another issue with whatever. We're not pleased with them. We need to get our money back. And then we will change all of our banking. Adulting sucks. I don't like it. Nope. Well, okay, so that should be over here. We can do this over this way. So yeah, that's my frustration of the day. Week, month, year. Never get a house. Well, I'm sorry to say, but you're supposed to have renter's insurance anyway, so we paid for $6,000. We paid $6,000 over the course of 6 years was for renter's insurance. That was not a house we owned. Well, that was the other thing, was they kept on saying, oh, well, we have this other house address, so you have another homeowner's insurance. We're like, we didn't own another home. That should be renter's insurance. This is our first home. We did that address you have is a place that we have lived, but it's renter's insurance, right? And also we haven't lived there in 6 years, so we should not be paying it. Yeah. Turns out you can get into this trouble as a renter too, as we did, because that was not a house we owned. What do you mean, no? You don't... Lauren, do you not pay insurance? Do you not pay renter's insurance? Most apartments require you to get renter's insurance. like, I also have insurance. I'm not going to get a house ever. Well, okay, I mean, that's up to you and valid, I guess. Certainly houses are a big expense and responsibility, and you know, if you don't want to be tied down with that, that's fine. I like your painting better than the photograph. Thank you. The photograph is not the best. It's a really cool tree, and I'm going to go back and take better photos of it, but it was pretty late when I ran into it. It's just down the street, but I was out with on a walk with Ember, and I just thought it was really cool. It's got this peeling bark. I think it's some kind of cherry species. Not entirely sure on what it is, because it hadn't leafed out yet, but it's probably leafing out now. But also it was getting pretty late, so I didn't have, yeah. Not the best focus, plus Ember was tugging on me, so I didn't have, yeah. I just wanted to work out, try a few different combinations of, like today I'm working with this ink, so I wanted to try different colors of liner ink and see what that effect has on different Lichen illustrations. I'm working on a really big project that's all different kinds of lichen. My passion project. So and so I am going to do a lot of ink and watercolor, and I wanted to experiment with different colors of ink. Might have to go. Bye, Paolo. A Lichen show. Well, it's going to be, it's called On the Skin of Giants, and it's going to be an exhibition exploring tree bark as ecosystem. So a lot of lichen, yes, but also mosses, also insects, birds, anything else that makes its home or leaves its mark on tree bark. And so I'm going to have a whole bunch of different pieces, different kinds of trees. I am focusing primarily on local trees, so definitely constraining to Canadian, like Eastern Canada, Southeastern Canada, but I will also, like, ideally somewhat more localized even within the Carolinian zone, although I'm not totally sure about that because I do want to do ideally some amount of residencies and on location, and so I might end up going a little bit further north, but I do want to explore a little bit the tie in, like, the impact of like human effect on these smaller scale ecosystems. So you'll see different lichen on the same, well, first of all, you'll see different trees in a disturbed versus a not disturbed ecosystem. You'll see then different lichen growing on the same tree if it's a polluted environment versus a non-polluted environment. You're going to see different species living. So it's not, I'm not sticking to native species only, neither the trees nor the resident species, but I am sticking to local references. Because I was, like, otherwise the scope just goes crazy. When I started looking into this project, I was like, wouldn't it be cool to go travel and, you know, paint some redwoods out on the west coast and paint some, you know, go down to the Amazon and paint some Amazon species, and like, it just gets crazy. So, for this project, it's local species. Things that you find locally, but I am going to then explore, like, turns out that there's a list of old growth trees in Ontario. So, you know, trees that are over 300 years old, basically pre-contact, pre-European colonization. And so it's a list. It's like, you can actually, it's a numbered list. You can say like, okay, this tree, that tree, whatever. And so I'm going to get in touch with the authors of that list and try to locate some of the oldest ones, and actually use those as references for some of the largest pieces. Because old growth trees will be very different from a much younger tree. They'll have very different bark, they'll have very different stuff. But then, yeah, I also want to have some coverage of like urban versus recovering forest versus old growth versus different species. And yeah. So 2.5 year project. Ideally, hopefully, with government funding throughout. We shall see. This is like, I'm very, very early in this, and even the grant that I've applied for, that I'm currently working on the assumption of receiving is, it's called Research and Creation, so it's not, like, this is still just figuring out what I'm going to be doing, and so I will be starting some of the final pieces, but I'm also just experimenting and finding out, like, figuring out, you know, what all these pieces are going to be, and finalizing an exhibition venue and stuff. Yeah. But it's really exciting, and I'm really, like, this is something that I've been meaning to do for years and just didn't have the, I guess, the courage to tackle, and so I'm going for it. I have a studio mate who has really inspired me. She just had her first big gallery show open, and she went through a similar thing, but she did it first, which, you know, when you see someone who you know, who you admire, do something like, oh, I can do that, I could do that too. Just super inspiring, but she also just, you know, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and just, I guess I need the grants to do this, so I'm just going to put together a really nice application and go for it. And so that's what she did, and I am inspired to do the same. Will you make it a book? Yeah, hopefully, but that's another grant. Yeah, so ideally I'll have the exhibition as well as an accompanying book, like a catalog that has all of the images and some discussion of what's in each image, and yeah. Yeah, I think it would make a really nice book, like a coffee table sort of. But all things require funding, so yeah, one step at a time. But yes, there are grants that could apply for that too. Or publishers, although I'm looking forward. There's a small local publisher that does like small run stuff, and I would love to work with them. Just sort of aside from, you know, I'm certainly not going to turn it down if somebody with the ability to publish a larger run wants to take it on. But this being quite a local project, there are discussions about what is in each picture. Yes, absolutely, because part of this research stage is I'm getting in touch with scientists in various fields, so lichen, mycology, ornithology, although I'm already in touch with the ornithologists, botany, and again, I know plenty of botanists, to make sure that I'm identifying everything correctly in each painting. So it's not just like, here's a thing I saw, it looks cool, don't you think it looks cool? But there's actually a discussion of, like, here's this species of maple, and it's got this species of lichen growing on it, and the existence of this species of lichen shows that this is an area with particularly clean air because it's sensitive to that, or this is a species of elm, and this is a species of ash, and, you know, this is a piece of tree bark that's got all sorts of channels cut into it. because it's been dug out by an ash borer beetle. And so like there's I think it's fascinating because we tend to see tree bark as just like this gray, boring thing. Like, first of all, we don't notice trees. We notice animals in trees, but we don't notice trees. And then in as much as we notice trees, we'll notice like if they're in bloom, if they're budding, sometimes leaves. If they flower, we might notice the flowers, but we don't really notice the bark. Like the bark is the last thing that anyone notices. And then there's this whole world there. Like we think of bark as brown or gray, static, doesn't change, just this boring thing, doesn't move. And it's anything but. Like I challenge you to find a tree that's all like gray or brown. They don't exist. They're always covered with stuff. So it's this living dynamic system that's ever changing, that tells a story. To me, it's like, I haven't traveled since the pandemic started, but when you take off in an airplane or you're landing, there's this point where you see the world as just like this sort of almost abstract patchwork, right? Like different little colors that are little farms, little rivers, whatever. And you can make sense of that story. You know, you stare at that like, oh, that must be a flower farm, that purple square over there. But it's like this abstract thing. And so, yeah, it's like, I think it's a parallel to our world. Like we're in our ecosystem, but you know, a tree is its own system, and then we can impact it. But just like, yeah, I think exploring that scale too is really interesting, and I hope that my that my grant applications made some sense of my ramblings. But yeah. I'm looking forward to painting crusty twigs for the next 2.5 years. That's my plan! So Lana, you said you're traveling for how long? One week only. Cool. Thunder. Soft, but they are hard. Ooh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I have, you know, I've been trying to learn things, but I don't have, it's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. So, and especially with tree bark, where it's like, man, it's not just, I don't just need the biologists, I need the everyone, right? Like, let's get me some entomologists, let's get me some, and so there's like, yeah, there is some overwhelm of like, whoo, like, even as I like start to learn, like I'm getting pretty good at identifying trees, but like the stuff on them, I mean, first of all, lichen is just this insane realm. But then, like, okay, well, here I have some tracks in a piece of tree bark. I can probably identify the tree. What does that mean for what these tracks are caused by? And, you know, go talk to the entomologist and go later find out that, oh, no, well, yeah, I mean, you talked to the entomologist, but it wasn't actually insect. That was caused by birds, or vice versa. Go talk to the ornithologist. So I'm going to have definitely there's definitely going to be some challenges. And then, you know, diving into this, there's also just, you get lost. Where, like, I work in watercolor. I frame behind glass. And so, you know, everything is in frames. Generally, I find my work shows best in wood frames. I figure if I'm doing an art exhibition where everything is in wood frames and it's all showing different trees, like, the correct thing to do is to frame every piece in that variety of wood. Turns out that's not as simple as it looks, because not everything has a commercial market. So there's a, like, my grant application has workshop equipment and a budget for hiring a sawmill and a chainsaw budget in it. Like, crazy stuff. But I'm really looking forward to it and just feel like, you know what, like, this is really cool and I want to do it. And if I think it's really cool, then other people think it's really cool. And I'm just gonna dive into that and believe that if I think that painting crusty twigs for 2.5 years is worthwhile, then somebody else will also think so. That's my theory and I'm sticking to it. We've been joking around a little bit about, you know, this is one of those, like, HGTV specials where, oh, also in the context of, like, we're renovating our whole house while we do this, right? Is renovating our whole house and also looking at property like, well, if we weren't tied down in this house that needs all sorts of help, then we might be looking at buying a forever home. But we need to fix this one first. And just joking around about, like, oh yeah, we're gonna be those people who, like, oh yeah, I'm buying we're gonna show up on HGTV with a, like, oh yeah, our you know, I draw twigs for a living and he makes frames for me. Our budget is $1 million. Only because the market is crazy here. The market has gone crazy, and our house was not, we bought our house way cheaper, and then the market went crazy. So when we sell this house, it'll be worth a lot more, but then, right? Like, it's not, yeah. It's not actually money we have. I would run wild and make some jokes and add animals on the frame. Yeah, same here. I mean, like, definitely the thought has occurred to me, and, like, I'm trying to constrain it too, but, like, also feel like, you know, this is just begging for something tactile. This is begging for something large scale, you know, like, you have botanical art on the walls. You want something in the middle of the room. Like, can I work with a sculptor? Houses are more than double as expensive than 15 years ago. Yeah, exactly. So it's not, you know, yes, in the next 5 years, we probably are going to be selling this house, buying another one. And yes, it is going to be in the, like, $1 million range. Probably just under, but it is not the case that, yeah, That's just what house prices do. But it just cracks us up because there's this ongoing joke about, like, who are these people on HGTV? Like, I pet butterflies for a living. My budget is $2 million. And as I'm applying for these grants, and but the new house would be expensive too. Yes, exactly. That's the thing, right? So, like, we have to like, we'll finish renovating this place, sell it, and realistically what we'll do is we'll sell this house and buy something that is a similar price, but, like, we'll have this one all fixed up. So when we bought this one, the kitchen was a write-off. The everything was a write-off, right? So we'll have replaced everything. New kitchen, new washroom, new plumbing, new electrical, new everything. Sell this, and then buy something else that also needs new everything for the same price, or maybe a little bit more than what we sell this one for. The thing is, like, this is a nice house, we like it, but there's just a few things that, since we've moved here, have become clear that aren't working. Like, I got really into gardening after we bought this house, and it is the tiniest, like, it's a detached house, but it's the tiniest property, like the tiniest detached plot in the city. So, like, and it was all concrete and paved over and graveled and whatever. Like, carving out any kind of garden space out of this property was difficult, and we still don't really have that much. So I would love to have some place where I can garden more. Jordan has taken up woodworking, and there's no place in this house to, like, we can set up a workshop. Right now we have a workshop in our living room, which is not ideal. Eventually it'll go back to the basement, but, like, the way the basement stairs work, you can't get sheets of plywood down there. So we have to cut things on the driveway. So having a place that has a garage or like a large shed or something, or some space on the main floor that can be used as a workshop, even just a stairwell down into the basement that doesn't turn around as much, would make Jordan's woodworking hobby much more usable. So it's not that we necessarily need something that's bigger. Like, the house is fine. We don't need more space, really. It's just, there's things about the layout and the property that don't really work for us long term. So it's not so much that we're going to sell this and buy something twice the size, twice the price. We're going to sell this renovated house, buy something that likely is a little bit more expensive just because we're going to want a larger property. But not by much, because we fully expect to buy something that's a fixer-upper next time too. So we'll sell a fixed up house and buy the next fixer-upper for the same price, and then put in some sweat equity. Yeah, we're really glad that we bought this house when we did, because housing prices went crazy in our area right after. And it was pretty difficult at the time. We wanted to get something very close to downtown. We were on a limited budget. And Jordan's fairly tall and large, like broad-shouldered, big guy. So And he doesn't like the, like, some people don't mind being a little squishy in their house, and he does not, you know, he's not okay with any kind of having to duck under doorways and stuff. So there was definitely just a dimensional issue when we were looking at houses, where like a lot of houses that were in the neighborhoods we were looking at and the budget we were looking at, just simply like the dimensions didn't work, where Jordan had to duck to get up and down the stairs, or okay, so it's going on 6. I should probably tear myself away from this and go get some food into me. Though I've been very much enjoying this. If anyone has any questions, comments, etc., feel free to ask. Also, Discord link is in the video description. If you'd like to come chat throughout the week, pop on over to Discord. There's also a Patreon link in there where I have some extra content. Also, part of my setting up for this new project is I'm trying to build up some good routines. Thanks, Lana. And so I'm hoping to set up some motivation buddies, thank you, some calls with people throughout the week, where I'm happy to point a camera at my work, or depending on what I'm doing, just chat on the phone. I find it a lot easier to get started on things when I have an eye on me. So if anyone wants to chat one-on-one, that's a thing that I can just offer right now for free. It's not classes or anything, those I do charge for, but if you'd just like to chat and you work on your thing and I work on mine, that would be awesome. And I'm happy to do that. In fact, I will thank you profusely. In any case, I think that's it for me today, because I do really need to stretch and go put some food in me. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.